Hey everybody, it's me, Carolyn, with Everything Music with Carolyn, my new podcast. I'm here with Kyle Bolduc from Lydia Can't Breath and BIFYM Audio.
How's it going?
I'm going to ask him a little bit about what he does between his band, his audio business. He's a very interesting guy.
I do a lot. I try to do a lot. For everybody
definitely.
as much as possible. Stay busy.
Yeah. Stay out of trouble.
Yeah, stay out of trouble. Brandon's phrase. I love it.
Yeah, so I first ever heard of you, Kyle, through Lydia Can't Breath, your band. So is that your beginnings? Like, is that how you started, or did you even start like on your own before that? How'd you get into music?
I started playing, skipping school with my the first drummer of Lydia was Nick Mercadante, and we used to skip school just so we could practice, basically, like back in the day, and that was before we ever had a band. We would just skip. He played drums, I played guitar, and we would just practice like all day, and we're like, we don't need to go to school, we'll just, practice all day. And then we just kept finding different members, so we basically, we found like another, I had played guitar at the time, but I could sing, so then we actually found another guitar player, and then we found another guitar player, so then I just became the singer. Then we found a bass player, and we like started Lydia, and that was probably like, we were all like 18, I want to say, like maybe 19, early 20s. And then that was just like the band of friends where we all kind of, just like all got together because we were friends. We'd party, and then nothing was too serious, but we had the dream, to make it big or whatever. But everyone kind of fell off. No one is still in the band from those days except for me. And then later we started taking it more serious. I was still just playing in the band. I became the guitar player again just because people would quit and stuff like that. So then I played guitar and sang, but then we had a whole new second guitar player, 5-piece band again. And then we started doing that band, and we were like, we gotta, start trying to, get bigger. We gotta like put out a CD or something. And I had actually been practicing, once me and Nick out of high school, I left out that we practiced at Studio 101, Brandon. So Brandon would let us rehearse up there. We would do like the cassette, tracks and stuff. And we're like, Brandon, could you like, we want to do a CD. Like, we got to do a CD so we can start like, really getting out there or whatever. So I basically went into the studio and like asked Brandon, hey, can we do like a full songs? I don't want to sugar, like, I don't want to like go about it like hourly like we usually do or whatever. I just want to pay you, and we're going to do an album, you know what I mean?
Right.
And he's like, I don't know, how to gauge that or whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't know how long it's going to take, because we probably all were terrible, you know what I mean? And we're like, well, what do you think it's going to take? So then Brandon drew up a number, and I was like, I'll pay it, you know what I mean? I'll give you half now, and then I'll just start making payments until we finish. So that's how we did the first, actual CD. Oh man, my bad. Above the Toadstool, back then. So we basically recorded that CD, and then it was like the next thing we had to do was tour. So then we were like, okay, now we have the CD. Brandon did the CD, so now we have to figure out how we're going to get on the road. So then Brandon comes into play again. He gets assigned to Sony. I want to say it was like some Sony subsidiary, or if that's what you're calling it. It's like an actual basic like like a label that's underneath Sony, but it was like, I don't know, some rap thing or something like that. So Brandon, it's like, okay man, we're gonna get you guys signed. We're going up to I want to say it was Georgia or something like that. We had to go up to this club and play, to showcase, to show these people who we were or something like that. And we get up there, it was just crazy. Like, but I had to get to that venue. I was like, we don't have a van. Like, how are we going to get to Georgia? So then I figured out, okay, we got to get a van. So we get like a crappy Astro van so we could go play the showcase, you know what I mean?
Right.
To get signed. Or we get up there and it's like the biggest like joke of anything that's ever happened.
I think Brendan told me this story.
It was the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Brandon felt terrible. we get there. Basically, they're telling us we're like going to Japan next week, and we already have a tour booked. And anyone who's in the music industry knows that like none of that is happening or true. You know what I mean? So we go through that, and then after that experience, our guitar player actually quit. Like our really good guitar player, he was like, "Dude, this is how the music industry is. Like, I'm not gonna deal with this. Like, I quit or whatever." So we lost another guitar player, had to keep going, and that's like, you know what I mean? It was like bumps, through the road. Either way, we drive back, he quits, and then I'm like, doesn't matter, we got the van now, we're going on tour. Like, you know what I mean? So we booked like 10 shows to like New York, ourselves. We get on a Indie on a Go or something like that. I think it's like Indiegogo or something like that.
And that's how you...
It was like an old site that had all the venues on it, and like it would have like contacts that you could email and stuff. So we hit up all these people. We end up doing a tour to New York and played like 10 shows whole time, like in front of nobody. Like, it was just the craziest thing ever. Got screwed over on pay the whole time. Got like flat tire. I think we got like stuck in the mountains like at one part of it because the van wasn't really supposed to be. It was like an Astro van with it when we put a trailer on it, so it was like the worst.
It's not meant for...
Yeah, it wasn't meant to do the tour. So that's pretty much like in a nutshell like how we got going. And then the sound thing, like basically we just started doing the sound thing in necessity to us not being able to play places. So people would be like, you can play here, but you have to have your own PA. You could do this, but you know what I mean? You guys got to, bring your own production. So we're like, oh man, we got to just get the speakers or something. So that way we can start, playing wherever. And then that made it easier for us to book locally and do the tours. We could just, find these. Well, a lot of the times too, when they didn't have the venue, they were willing to pay us more. You know what I mean? To bring in that, so it made us make more money. So we're like, oh, we'll just do it. So then we started doing the sound. That's how BIFYM came to play basically. And then we did it so much that we did some shows locally. People seen us, and then they're like, hey, can you come do audio for our show? And we're like, oh yeah, I guess. You know what I mean? I was like, I didn't even realize this was like a job, like that you could like rent it out or do whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so that's how the whole company started. And that was probably, Lydia's probably been going for like 20 years, and the sound company's probably been going for like 15 or something like that.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, I mean, no surrender.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just keep
plugging and chugging, for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I totally know what that's like. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I was always wondering how you got both started and everything.
It kind of comes hand in hand, but I mean, from playing and stuff, like sometimes, you know what I mean? I know you use us, but if you had to in a pinch, you can do your own audio, so that way no one can tell you can't play. You're in your own control at that point, and that's what we needed to happen, especially with the heavy or music that we play. Sometimes people wouldn't allow us to play, basically.
Right. And I mean, what a way you bought the equipment, what a way to pay for it too.
Yeah, that was hand in hand. It's crazy that it actually became a job. It was always just kind of like, I fell into it. Like people, I don't know if people say that, but like I truly fell into doing sound. Like I didn't realize it would become as big as it is. And now we do like 400 events a year easily. And that's just like with the audio. But I mean, we also play a bunch of shows with Lydia too. So it's like I'm super slammed. And now we just are getting going on the studio. This is like where we're at right now is the actual studio. It's kind of like BIFYM Studios, but I call it Dolphin Studios. It's like the same colors as the Miami Dolphins or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my team. You know what I mean? We never win, but we did once upon a time.
Oh, you're.
Yeah, repping.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's kind of like it all. Just I don't know. I feel like I just kept showing up, and then we had to record ourselves as well, you know what I mean, to get like demos and work with different people or, come up with new ideas. So then that hand in hand was like, oh, maybe we can help other people do this as well, you know what I mean?
Right.
That way we're only working in the music industry. We could help you almost do everything.
Okay, so another question I've been wanting to ask you, how did you pick the genre you're in, metal?
I want to say like it stems back from when I was like really young. Like Lydia used to be actually like really heavy. I didn't even know how to sing. like I said, I was like kind of like the guitar player when we started, so I didn't even really know how to sing. I just knew how to scream. Like I would sing over like scream over Slipknot or like Mudvayne or stuff like that, or like Korn or something, and I just was like super angry, and it helped me like get out my aggression. So I would just love to go and, you know, get on a microphone and just make like crazy sounds, like pig squeals or whatever. So that's like, it was a way for me. I used to be, I don't know, getting like a lot of fights, like getting in a lot of trouble, and it was like almost like my outlet. I always say that it like saved me. People were like saying, you know, we play super crazy music and all that, but it was like almost like my outlet to getting it all out, instead of going to, you know, get in fights or do stuff. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I got it all out tonight. I got to go to practice, you know what I mean? And I felt better. So like I started being like, yo, let's go to practice again. You know what I mean? Like, let's keep going to practice. Like I love screaming for 2 hours every night. I feel great. Like, you know what I mean? Let's keep that going. And that's kind of how it stemmed. And then as we went further down the pipeline, I feel like we play a lot of mixed genres. I always liked every type of music, so we played a bunch of mixed genres. And we fell into more of like hard rock, and now we have like stuff where we sing more and stuff like that. But I ended up realizing that like I needed to take training or something, like figure out how to sing. So I took opera lessons. There was a guy around here that gave singing lessons, but he only did opera. And I was like, all right, whatever. I got to learn how to sing, you know what I mean? So I go to these classes, and they're like just teaching you how to breathe and stuff. And I'm just like, what's going on? Like, I wanted to sing. And then he was such a cool dude. David was his name. And he would come out to the practice, and he wanted to see what I did. He's like, I need to see what you do. Like, you know what I mean? I want to teach you how to, you know, do the opera, but I want to kind of, you know, see what you do. And he came out and he was like, dude, you really got a lot of power. We're gonna turn this into a voice, you know what I mean? So then we started slowly singing opera, and he was like, the way he did it, I guess he learned how to speak Italian. A lot of the opera's in Italian, so he made me learn how to speak Italian. Not like fluently, but like he would make me learn what the song meant. And I think it was like Caro Mio Ben or something like that. It was like one of the first songs like we like went through or whatever, and I had to learn. And I just remember like singing these words that like made no sense, but like the way they all flew off the tongue, the way that I guess opera's written, it made it easy to move through singing. Like, 'cause you know how when you're singing, like you feel like if, cause you sing, I don't know how you go about it, but you feel like the breath is almost like, you know, you're carrying through the breath, and if you don't end the breath, then it's like a smooth transition of the sing or something, if that makes sense.
Right. So when you're like, you're pronouncing words, but you're really like pronouncing sounds to get
because if you slam down on it, it almost doesn't sound right or something, right? So that was my biggest thing. I was used to slamming down on all the words, because screaming, you could just, you know what I mean, and like slam it down or do whatever you wanted to. But with this, you had to actually flow, and I think through learning the Italian and singing the weird opera and all that, it taught me that, you know what I mean? And then I originally, I think, didn't know how to translate that into rock singing. So a lot of our earlier stuff is like a little more avant-garde, kind of weird, and I have a lot of the, what's the roar? What do they call it? The retard, or the, you know, where you like roll your tongue or something like that? Like I had a lot of, vibrato and stuff like that, like in the singing, and that's not always necessary in rock singing, you know what I mean? But that was like how I had learned how to sing the opera stuff, so I would scream and then almost have these weird like vibrato singing parts, but they were like in key, but it, you know what I mean, it didn't really make sense. And I think over the years it kind of, you know, the scream became more of the sing, and now the new stuff that we have has a lot of power behind the actual singing. It's a lot smoother and everything, you know what I mean? So long story down the road, that's how the metal started, but then turned into what we do now. And if the earlier stuff of Lydia, some people have never even heard, but a lot of it doesn't even have singing or anything. And now if you listen to like our songs, it's probably like 75 to 80% singing, and only screaming when it's like a real heavy part, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So
yeah, like strategically placed.
Yeah, it has more power when you do that. If you scream the whole time, I feel like I still like that, because it shows like the endurance of the vocalist to be able to do that, and it is hard to get
I
through
can
a song.
like I don't even know how to do that. Like how did you even learn how to do that? Is that something you figured out on your own, or just you vocal lessons for that too? Is that what?
I actually took Zenna Scream. I never have lost my voice, but this lady Melissa Croft, that was where I kind of like blended what the opera teacher had taught me. But she teaches you. She's like a vocal coach for all the, like Corey Taylor and like a bunch of the guy from like Lamb of God and all this. And that video taught me, I don't know how to transition, through that to do it kind of like, and that was like, she did vocal, warm-ups and all this other stuff, but it was more in like the English language and more, easier, I guess, for me to transition that type of
To what you
style.
actually do.
Yeah, to what we do now. So.
Okay. Wow. So yeah, because I just screaming and then to actually scream and then sing right away after that. That's like that's gonna be so hard.
It tears apart your voice, and you have to build up an endurance. But I think if you do what she tells you to do, on top of the actual breathing, that you won't lose your voice. Like I've only almost lost my voice on tour a couple times, and that was after we played like 40, 50 days in a row almost, like with like 1 or 2 days off, and I got sick. Like, you know what I mean? So it was never just like, oh, I'm so tired, I can't, do the, because we only do like 8 to 10 songs a night. It's not like a set where you're playing, 4 hours or something. We're just in and out. So there's a lot of, you know what I mean? You're not really going full throttle. Even if you are on your voice, you're not doing it for a long
periods of time.
Yeah. So, and it's like a falsetto too. Like, when you sing like a falsetto, like a scream is almost like a designed falsetto if you do it right, and you're basically just making a sound like with your voice.
You're not like,
I sing louder than I scream. You wouldn't know that because I have a microphone. You know what I mean? But like when I'm singing powerfully, if you would notice at a show, I'm probably pulled back more, and if I'm screaming, I'm always like this, and that way I don't have to push. You know what I mean? The vocals is hard. You know what I mean? It's more of like I got to be like, okay, how can I whisper, create these crazy noises? You know what I mean? Like super. But if you don't have it, to project through a microphone, then you have to scream. Put a lot of get the loudness behind it. And I think that's when you can start wearing your voice down more.
I think that was the biggest lesson to learn being a singer. Is to how to use your voice effectively and dynamically, but conserve it too.
Yeah, especially when you're playing every single weekend or whatever too.
And it's like I think that was the most difficult, hardest skill to learn over time.
Mentally too, though, is it always that
you're always thinking
you think that you can't do it, but you've always done it. That's the thing that's crazy. I feel like too is like you're psyching yourself out, but then once you do, like I would always be like, dude, we got a 50-day tour, right? Am I gonna last through the tour? And then once you last through the 50-day tour, when you have a 20-day tour, you don't even think about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're like, it's only 20 days, whatever. Oh, I'm a little sick the first day. It's only gonna be 20 days. But the first time you go play 3 shows in a row when you're 22 and you don't really know what you're doing, you think that by that 3rd show, come Sunday, I don't know if I'm going to be able to scream still because I'm going to give it all I got for 2 days. And then you start realizing that you only got to give it 80%, and then everybody's still going to be stoked as long as you have that showmanship and you hit all the notes and everything. But that's the one thing where they tell you it's not like sports. You don't go 110. Right. Because then you're going to throw your voice out, basically.
Yeah, you totally lose. And then, as you mature, and, like, there's been times when I've been sick, where I think that's where I learned the most. Yeah. Is how am I going to get through this 4-hour show? And
you better not go crazy. Yeah.
Like, and I think it sucks, but that's where I learned the most.
Yeah.
How to so even during normal times, I know how to
conserve it more.
Yeah. Which is one of the biggest lessons I've learned.
For sure. Yeah.
But then it helped just how I sing normally, I think too. I'm like, oh, I can do this with my voice now. It's like testing the limits almost.
Yeah.
And normally you wouldn't, but it forced you to. So now you know, like, oh, I can do this.
And then you're more comfortable when you feel good too.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's interesting. That's interesting how you took opera too. Like,
Yeah.
Because I have another friend that I interviewed, and that's Joshua, and he took opera too.
Yeah.
And he's hard rock, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool, but that's like a lot of breathing, and that's
Yeah.
where you get the power.
That's what it was. I used to lay on my back and like do like weird breathing stomach exercises, and the guy would always be like, yeah, you got to make sure that you're that's it. He's like, we're not even singing today. I remember going to 30-minute lessons of breathing, and I'm just like, what am I doing here? Why am I paying for a breathing lesson right now? This is crazy.
Then you realize how important
I love him. Yeah, to this day, like he taught me a lot. Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. Yeah. So like, as far as guitar playing goes, like, what's your favorite guitar that you like to play off?
My favorite guitar is probably my Gibson. I got a Gibson. Yeah, it's actually right here, the Gibson. Should I show him the guitar?
Show him the guitar.
This is my favorite guitar. I play a 7-string, a lot of stuff for Lydia, but this is like what we do like the solos with and stuff. And the backstory on this thing is basically like my mom and my parents always like kind of argued with me like about, oh, are you sure you want to just be a musician and this is what you're going to do with your life or whatever? And then I finally, I forget how old I was. I want to say like 18, 19, and my mom was finally like, okay, well, like you're definitely just going to play music, then I can see that you're not going to stop. So what can I do? What do you need that's going to like help you succeed the most? Like, and I'm just thinking in my head, well, I've always heard that great guitar players need a Gibson guitar, like a Gibson Les Paul, you know what I mean? So she got it for me for Christmas, and I like, it was the most expensive guitar I ever got. I think it was like $3,000 or something like that. And there's way more expensive guitars, but for me, I was like, whoa, this is a $3,000 guitar. So I almost felt like I couldn't let my mom down at that point. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I gotta go figure out how to make a career with this guitar. My mom just bought me a $3,000 guitar. If I can't make a career out of it, like, what am I gonna do? Because I sing for Lydia, but like at heart, like I'm a guitar player. I've been playing guitar since I was like 12 years old. I've only been singing since I was like 18.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So you're like definitely the guitar player.
Guitar, yeah. But for Lydia, whenever anybody sees this, like even though I do a lot of the writing, like 90% of it probably, when we play live, I just hire people to play the music basically. You know what I mean? But like when we're in the studio and stuff, like all the lyrics like have always been me, and a lot of the rhythm, like the guitars and stuff like that, have been me. Like, you know what I mean? Because I just want it to be my way, and I've always been the one that's in it the longest, so it's kind of like seniority. It's like, dude, you've only been in the band for like a year, like we'll let you write a couple songs and stuff, and if one's really good, we'll play it, but like we're gonna stick to what we've been doing, and once we know, like, you know what I mean, these songs are gonna last, and you're not gonna quit in 2 years and then we're sour about playing your songs, you know what I mean? So I had to get over that because we've had so many members too, because there's got to be a handful of like 8 to 9 songs that, you know, other guitar players, and then we still play them live. So it's like you can't be, you know, against that when the fans like those songs. You got to kind of just roll with it. You know what I mean? And I think the longer we've played, the more I've accepted, like, you just have to go with like the best idea, what's going to be best for the band. You know what I mean? You can't be selfish about it in any way, basically. You know what I mean? Because if you are, then you're just going to always be sour. It cost us so much time because we would switch out people just because we had to play their songs, and then we would just drop all those songs. And then we had to like you know what I mean? It took us forever, probably the longest, to drop our first CD. And then in the midst of the second CD, that's when the one guitar player I told you quit when we drove to Georgia. So the second CD, me and the other guitar player just wrote the whole entire thing. We didn't like let anybody like really write anything. And then when we got to the third CD, that guitar player quit. So then I wrote like the whole entire like third CD almost. And then when we got to the fourth CD, we had... it was more like an EP and like all the singles we've been doing now, and that's when we had like 3. Basically, the guitar player was writing, I was writing, and the bass player was writing. I still did all the lyrics, and then we started working with producers and you know, outside of the box, like other people that would come in and give their take or suggest parts of the songs and stuff to us. So it's evolved that far down from us just, you know, being kids that were like not wanting to play someone else's riff, or you know what I mean, something like that. So
Right. So that's how you did it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I know of like from my band being around for like many years. I don't want to say.
Yeah, you've been around as long as we have, probably.
Like, yeah, you kind of have to learn to adapt and with all the new different people, all the changes, and yeah, it does take time. It does take yeah. But hey, you just keep pushing forward and
everything you learn from, I feel like too. You can't. You have to learn through your failure. You can't be sour about it, or it will cause you. I've seen it get the best of people, and then they quit. And I've never met anyone that has like quit music entirely. It's always like a phase. Like they're mad at it because they're not getting what they want out of it, but then they're always like, crawl back to playing that guitar a little bit or doing something. And like it can't. It's like an itch. It's almost like
you can't get rid
an
of
addiction.
it.
It's like an addiction. It seriously is. Yeah.
You can't. You got to do it in one form or another.
And I've seen so many people quit. I think that I won't do that to myself. Like if I get sour about something, or I'm like frustrated about where the point that we're stuck at, or this song didn't do as good as it was, then I'm just like, well, you know what? If I quit now, I'm not going to get to do the one that I'm not sour about. You know what I mean? So that's why I've seen so many people regret that decision, that I will not allow that to be my fate, basically. You know what
I mean, and a failure or a letdown is not necessarily, just a step to another good thing, that
you have to look at the positive, positive in it. Yeah.
Not everything's going to be awesome.
Nothing's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I understand. That. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, you just got to keep pushing forward. And that's what I've learned, because there's been so many things that have been disappointing. But then from that, if that like disappointing thing didn't happen, then the awesome thing that happened after it wouldn't have happened.
And you wouldn't have got to the point that you're at.
Yeah,
either,
exactly.
Because you wouldn't have had to accept like, oh man, I got to replace this member, or I have to, get better myself, so that way I don't have to rely on anybody. I mean, I don't mind writing music with other people at this point, but I also want to be able to write the whole entire thing. Like that's
right.
what, you know what I mean? I want to be able to write the guitar, play the bass, play the lead, play the rhythm, carry on production, actually program the drums if I had to, you know what I mean? So that way, if someone can't show up or do their part, I can still carry on, you know what I mean? No matter what.
Right.
I mean?
Yeah, and I get that. Yeah. That's in some ways, in certain facets of my band, that's what I've learned to, and to kind of distribute, some of the work.
If you take on too much, then it weighs you down. You have to know which person is best at each task, is what I feel like too. You have to give the position. You have to be, as the leader or the person handing out the positions, you have to be wise with the tasks that you hand out to what individual. Because certain tasks will overwhelm other individuals, where for one of them it's actually easy.
Right.
You know
that's their thing. And as running a band, being the leader of the band, that's
terrible.
Like,
it's like running a company.
It's like one of the things you have to be intuitive to.
Yeah. And you're worried about everyone's feelings, because it's not like a normal job. Like everyone cares so much. You know what I mean? You're just like, whoa, dude.
It's like a piece of them. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, which is unique, makes it a unique business in itself.
It's definitely 100.
Yeah. But I think I kind of met you through Brendan, too, and I think that's a mutual thing that we have. Is like Brendan taught us
how to
so
the game.
much.
He
from
taught
Studio 101.
Studio 101. Brendan taught me the sound game. I remember me and Sam, the one who's like the other one that does most of the audio for BIFYM. He tours with Lydia as well. He does sound for you.
Yeah, he does our sound.
We basically went to Brandon, and Brandon just recorded, and we were like, yo, can we like pay you to teach us how to use this soundboard, you know what I mean? Like, and Brandon like was just like, I guess, whatever, you know what I mean? And we just like went to classes at Brandon's studio to learn how to do audio or whatever. It was just crazy.
That's such a cool story when you guys were telling me.
He's a good guy.
Oh yeah.
And he's come on tour with us. We took him out on his first tour actually, which is fun.
Told me about that.
He met us up with in Arizona with Mushroom Head, and like the pitcher to Randy Johnson, the tall pitcher or whatever from I want to say he was at the Diamondbacks that time. He came out to the show and everything, not to see us, but he he's seen us and met us and stuff. It was super cool. And Brandon was just like, this is what you guys have been doing for a month? And we're like, yeah, man, we were on tour with Mushroom Head. Like, it was like super, it was crazy. We were all just kids. It was definitely super cool. Yeah.
That is cool. Yeah. He's been a part of a lot of the musicians.
The community in general
Yeah,
around here.
yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely Studio 101. Like, is like, dude, I was playing up there when I was like 15. And I know so many bands that would practice there and so much music that came out of there. He took me to the Grammys. Like, Brandon took me to the Grammys. I went to the Grammys.
That's right. He went to the Grammys.
Yeah.
He's part of the
He's part
Grammys.
of the board. Yeah. He made me like part of it. I went in the Kendrick Lamar, who just played the Super Bowl or whatever. He won his first 2 Grammys the year we went to the Grammys. And I was just like, who's this guy? Like, what's this? And now he's like playing the Super Bowl this year, which is crazy.
That's so
and
cool.
we had like a hotel room next to like August Burns Red and like all this stuff. It was crazy. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So many good experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. And didn't you guys start a record label together?
Yeah, me and Brandon used to do Spin It Records. We don't
Yeah.
do it anymore, but we try to kick it off. But then I think we realized how much money it was to actually get the acts where it was going. And we had like a country artist. We did a CD thing with McDonald's for him and stuff like that. And we pushed him, you know what I mean, as far as we could. But I think I just was like, Brandon, this is way too much, you know, effort on our end. And I don't feel like I'm doing my project like Lydia as much. We're spending a lot of time doing the label. And that's kind of like where I was like, I don't really know if this is what we should be doing. And we needed to have a record label. You're basically like a bank. And I didn't feel like we had enough money to provide. Now, which is funny, is we have maybe enough resources to where we could, you know, restart a record label with everybody we know, but you still need money. Like, if you don't have money, you're a useless record label almost. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, and we didn't have money to loan people, and I felt it was an injustice. You know, we couldn't offer proper service. So I was just like,
so where do you see the future of BIFYM going? You've got the studio gearing up. You've got the whole sound business. Where do you see it going in the near future?
I feel like we've grown like exponentially, like since we started. Basically, now we do like, we started just doing audio. Now we do lights. We do the stages, and like we'll do like minor like tents and stuff like that. Plus, we know other companies that we can like outsource, you know, to, and get pretty much clients whatever they want. And I mean, I don't see it, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people on the team now. We got a lot of engineers, so I'm trying to keep everybody as busy as possible. I think we did like close to 400 events last year, so I'm hoping to take it up to like, I want to say like 500 this year. And then we've never really you know, tried to like outsource business, so we were thinking about starting to, you know, try to do that as well.
Right.
So I'm hoping to like within the next couple of years, maybe, you know, even take it up to where we're doing like 1,000 gigs a year or something like that. But I'd say that would take a couple more years, you know what I mean, to be able to facilitate that amount of work and organization, I guess, you know what I mean?
That's the goal.
Yeah, for sure.
Just keep building and building.
Yeah. Me do little or amount of work, but get as much people doing work as possible,
That's what the owner does.
Yeah. That's the goal.
But you're doing a lot behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure.
So you have a song coming out, February 21st?
Yeah, February 21st. We have a new single coming out, Stronger. Song we worked on with Andy Kopovic and Andrew Wade up at the Audio Compound. I want to say the last 5 or 6 songs besides Cold as Ice we did with Brandon, we just dropped. We did with them, and this is a song that I want to say that we probably worked on the hardest, maybe. I don't know. I just felt like we put a lot of time into this song. It's one of my favorites. It kind of brings back some old school Lydia, but it's also, you know, still got that radio vibe to it. And then Andrew Wade is the one who did like A Day to Remember's like big CDs and stuff like that. And him and Andy at the Audio Compound have like a bunch of hits, you know what I mean? They've done like Wage War. There's a bunch of other bands I can't even think of that they've, you know what I mean, or just can't remember right now that they've done. So super excited about this one. It's definitely one to check out for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So where can we see it when it comes out?
It will be on all platforms. I mean, you can go to our website too, lydiacan'tbreathe.com, but it will be on Spotify, iTunes. We distribute right now through DistroKid. So it basically just puts it on all those platforms. I want to say it's YouTube, like anywhere you're really looking, you know, for music, you just type in Lydia Can't Breathe, Stronger, should come up on the 21st.
Okay.
I mean, Shazam, like all that, or whatever. You know what I mean? They have like all that weird stuff. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So everybody, make sure you look for Stronger on February 21st. And you have a Facebook page, right?
Yeah, Lydia Can't Breathe Facebook, or you can find me, Kyle Bolduc on Facebook. There's also BIFYM Audio Facebook. But yeah, you go to the Lydia Facebook is the one that we probably do the most stuff on. It's the most interesting one or whatever. I post stuff, but not as much as on the Lydia page. It's hard to kind of post on both of them.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
So.
Yeah. And my band, Carolyn the Dawn Patrol, we use BIFYM Audio all the time, and they take care of us. They're awesome. So thank you.
We always show up.
You always show up.
Even that one time when we were late.
That was just a freak accident. Yeah.
So funny.
But yeah, they've been working with us for like 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, I want to say I met you in a coffee shop. I mean, we knew each other before that, but we met at the Starbucks off O'Galley.
At the intersection.
And we had like that meeting for like an hour or something, and then ever since then, you've just been sending me the list of
every year. Yeah. So thank you. These guys are great to work with. You guys are doing a tour in the summer?
Yep, yeah, we're going to play Rockfest again. We're going out with another band. I won't mention them yet just because the tour is not booked, but yeah, we'll be out in July, and then we're doing another like little festival in June, all like Midwest and stuff like that, but we'll be out there definitely this year, maybe towards the end of the year, hit like the West Coast a little bit or something, so keep in tune, you know what I mean?
Anywhere around here?
Yeah, we're playing in April actually around here. We got 4 shows with Tantric in April. We're playing Winfield's over Satellite Beach. We're playing in Sanford, like Orlando area, West End Trade Company, and then we're playing the Brass Mug in Tampa, and then we're playing Fort Pierce the last day, the Tipsy Tiki. So nice little place down there. We're just headlining that one. It's just us, I want to say. So.
Oh wow! Make sure you go and check them out. Great show. Yeah. Well, thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great time.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Yeah. We will see you again.
Yep.
Have a great, good luck with your song, Stronger, coming out, and great tours and great shows this year.
Appreciate it.
Good luck with BIFYM and all your goals.
Trying to take over the world slowly and surely.
Definitely. Well, make sure you like and subscribe Carolyn Willis' channel for everything music with Carolyn, and we'll see you next time.
Take it easy.